It is time to check in with the real estate market. Some folks call Seattle, actually called King County. We have the one and only Beth Traverso, who just last week listed a property on Thursday with an offer review date of, I don't know, Monday or
Today.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Today, they offer review date of Tuesday. Again, the list price was 1.2 million. And of course, if rates are doing what they do, it means no offers, nothing coming in, inventory stacking up. So let's check in with the one and only Beth Traverso. What's going on?
Hi, Mike. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me back. Yeah, it's been a busy, well, actually, since it hit the market on Thursday, my phone has been ringing nonstop and emails, calls, showings, a stampede at the open house. We're back to that. I haven't seen that since
Oh
early
no.
2022
Oh, okay.
before
So
the
you
rates.
yeah,
Yeah.
so kind of go back in our timeline because I think the most craziness was early 21, right?
Yeah, that
21
was the
was
craziest of
that
the crazy.
was
That was
okay. That was
that set the bar. And then
so
I remember
we're not back
thinking,
there. We're not back there.
yeah, no, because we had less than 2 weeks of inventory at that time,
Okay.
and I'll be curious to see how the numbers stack up in February for inventory. It's going down. We were at less than 2 months. We were about 1.5 months, and that was in January before it got going like this. So I'm guessing it's lower now.
Beth, come on.
I
Rates are
know.
7%. What the heck is going on?
What gives? It shouldn't be doing this. So I remember back in 20, so backing up again, so 2021 was peak intensity. And I remember thinking it did die down as it always does toward the end of the year. And I remember talking to some of the other brokers that I mastermind with around end of 2022. Like, what do you think, or end of 2021? Like, what do you think is going to happen in 2022? And the consensus was that it was going to get crazy again. And I was like, really? I don't know if it's going to like it was. And then it did. We did see intense bidding wars again the first quarter of 2022. And then by second quarter, it just hit the wall right
Right.
around May or so.
Yeah, May, June.
And
Yep.
we've been kind of struggling since then because it was such a fast
Mhm.
whiplash correction, really. It was
Yeah.
just so much happened so fast. So anyway, now, here we are. We went through 2023, which was, an interesting year in the fact that the transactions were down dramatically in our area as much as 60% at one point, and we're
Woo!
still significantly. So not much. It's rebounded a little bit in some areas, but not a lot. And that's over year over a year that wasn't that. We already had low inventory
You're
1
right.
year ago. So
Yeah.
now we're back to, rates have gone up a little bit. They went down, but then up. And really what
Just
I'm feeling is I think buyers just don't want to wait anymore. If anyone was waiting on the fence, they're not waiting anymore.
well, yeah,
And
let's
yeah,
let's talk about that, but let's talk about that in a minute because
yeah,
it was funny. You and I were actually together this weekend, right? You
you
flew out to
were.
an event
Yeah.
we were hosting. Um, we had you over the house. I want to say Thursday. I think it was Thursday, right? Yeah,
Did
Thursday before
right.
Ryan's event.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those
Yeah.
days. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
Thursday before Ryan's event, right?
Yeah.
And you were there, you were with your husband, you were with some of the other speakers, and your phone was like vibrating off the kitchen
I had to
table.
turn it off and turn it upside down because I wanted to be present with you guys. And it was just overwhelming the amount of interest and calls. And
So when did
yeah,
the property hit the MLS? Was it
it hit
Thursday
the
morning?
MLS on Wednesday. I did a little earlier for various
Okay.
reasons because we were ready and
Yeah.
because it is a holiday week where a lot of people are
Yep.
gone, that
That
I
makes
wanted to
sense.
make sure there was enough time that people could get in there ahead of time if they were going out of town. So we just
Okay.
we deviated a little bit from the normal pattern and put it on Wednesday morning first thing, and
Okay.
we started getting showings immediately. And I think we're up to about 60 showings or so, and that's outside the
Six
open
zero.
six
60.
zero 6-0. And then about 50 people came through the open house on Saturday, and then I think almost as many on Sunday. So it's been extremely active over there. And this is in an area called Woodinville. If people know the area in Keene County, it's on the east side, a suburb within commuting distance of the Microsoft. It's close to Redmond where Microsoft is. And then you've
Mhm.
got, Amazon and other folks there too. So
And again, it came out at 1.2.
1.2,
So
1195 to be
one
exact.
one yeah,
Yeah. We'll
1195.
round it up.
You got your phone was going crazy. Um, you had an offer review date of Tuesday. And we'll get to the end. We'll get to the punchline in a
Yeah.
minute. I want to talk about the time we were together. So uh, you've shared on this panel multiple times. You've been in real estate. We'll call it 2 decades. Let's call it 2 decades. In that time frame, you probably go to what you would say 3 events a year on average. Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Yes.
So simple math says 60 events, 3 times 20. And you were actually a participant in our first real estate get together, 50,000 subscriber event. So somebody who's been to 60 real estate events, I've been to 100 conferences, but only a few real
Mhm.
estate events. As someone who's done more than me, what was the event? How did it stack up? What were your kind of takeaways?
I loved it so much. It was, I swear it was the best real estate event I've ever attended.
Hmm.
And I'm still just glowing about it. And we're chatting on, like, connecting people that I met, and the conversations are still going, and friendships being developed and moved forward. And it's so cool. I've
Mm.
felt so, it felt so collaborative there, and everybody, it was small enough that it didn't feel like I could actually get to know the people that were there. We saw the same faces. We were able to chat and connect. There was plenty of opportunities to just say hi and learn what
Mm.
people are doing. And I learned a few things about the one rental at a time community, things I kind of already knew, but it was nice to see confirmed, and one of them was that it was a community of doers. Everybody there was doing something. They were taking steps. That doesn't mean that they were huge, big
Oh, yeah.
syndicators, or, in fact, I didn't meet any of those. There might be somebody
Me
there with
neither.
500 houses, but I didn't meet them,
I didn't
and
either.
and
I
I
didn't
like
meet him.
that, because in some ways, for a lot of people, that's the most relatable. It's the whole concept of one rental at a time. And
Right.
maybe that's why these folks are drawn to the community, because they're by all intents and purposes, they're regular folks just looking to improve their lives and achieve financial independence through real
Hmm.
estate, and just
Yeah.
doing it one rental at a time. And so everyone there was doing that. And um it was just good to see people that are, sometimes it can get discouraging if you're, around people who maybe sometimes are on a certain level way up here, and then maybe others who want to get started but they just can't get started. And so,
Mm.
it's just nice there's some people like that too, and I respect that. But everyone there was, even if they hadn't bought a rental yet, they were actively working on getting that
Yeah.
accomplished. They were taking the steps. They're absorbing the information, they're reading, they're learning, they're saving their money, they're getting their
Mm.
credit right, they're learning their buy box. Everyone was doing the work,
Yeah.
and that was really cool.
One of the things, and again, I haven't done many real estate events, but I've done hundreds of conferences, and the magic is the audience.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to ignite. And the audience we have, or the family, or whatever you want to call that, followers, they did it so naturally. Again, I was focused on the room, right? But as I walked around and was making sure everything was going right, there were all these little break-offs and all these little, and they weren't clicks. Like sometimes it's like the same
Yeah.
4 people together.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize any of that.
Hmm.
And the energy in the room, we had a couple of surprise things. Remember, I don't know if you were around for this, but on Saturday at lunch, we did a congratulations to Omar and his wife,
Yeah.
just off the cuff, right? And the audience was full, fully loud and all of that. And then day
So
two, right
cool.
after lunch, we decided to try to raise $1,000 from the audience, and we did that like 7 minutes
Yeah.
to get back to the blind center. So the audience was everything, and it's magic. It's just magic. It's
Fantastic community. And some of them are people I kind of felt like I knew, just because they comment on the videos, they're in the Facebook group, and they're
yeah,
just out there. And then it's like, oh, okay, that's like, you could put a face to the
yeah,
name, and then like it all made sense. And that was
yeah.
neat.
How many people asked for a selfie or a picture with you?
Oh, I don't know. Probably it felt like dozens. So, but that was
Yeah,
great. So
yeah.
cool. I asked
That
for a few too.
that was important to me because again, one of the things that I tried to do at the event was make sure the millionaires felt special, and it was a hope of mine that the audience would recognize you. Obviously, you would get time on stage, obviously, but then people would take pictures, and I just know that that feels good.
It
It's like
does
you
feel
really
good.
touch
Or people
someone.
just wanted to come in and say, hi, thank you. I appreciate what you do. Like you made a difference in my life. That's the best thing.
Yeah, right.
That's why I do this, honestly. If there's a way that it's something I can share, can help encourage somebody and help them move forward with whatever they're trying to do, that was really rewarding. So just hearing that from people was really nice.
And that's why we start. I mean, that's why we started with your story, right? Being that banquet waiter or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and house hacking, and then getting into real estate, never having a real job, right? Real job.
Yeah.
Um, your story resonates, and thank you for sharing it again. The audience really enjoyed that.
That was really cool. And so, and for me, who's somebody who I'll admit, I haven't been a solo speaker that much. So it was pushing me outside my own comfort zone, but everyone was so great. It just, I don't know. It was so receptive. The audience was so receptive and the questions and you helping me out. It just really made a difference. So I got a lot out of it too. And then I got to meet a lot of people that I really admire also. So that was really great. So
Mm.
it was fun in a lot of ways. And another thing I really liked about the event was that everyone there, you know, they're very supportive. Sometimes in real estate events, sometimes you can get some big egos strutting around. In fact, I've come to expect it because usually that's how it is. There's
Yeah.
the people with their entourage and they're strutting around and, you know, they don't really want to necessarily talk to people or only certain people they want to talk, or whatever the case may be. That's just the perception. It seems like there's always some of that going on.
Mm.
And I didn't feel any of that at this event. It seemed like everybody, no
Nope.
matter who
Yeah.
they
Nobody was
were,
big timing it. Yeah. Nobody was big
no.
timing it. No.
That's not, I mean, what good does that do, honestly? And the purpose really is to get there to meet people and talk to people and, you know, share some
Yep.
advice, get advice from them. And that's what I felt there. I think that's one of the reasons why I just felt so welcoming and
Mhm.
inclusive for everybody from all walks of life and all levels of investing.
Yeah. What I'm curious, as someone who's been to all these events, was there a particular presentation or maybe even moments in presentations that kind of hit you different, made you either go, yeah, or question something? Is
Yeah. So one of the ones that really resonated with me for where I am right now, and these are things that I've just started thinking about, was actually Coach Carson's
Mhm.
talk about the small and mighty real estate investor.
Mhm.
And because I consider myself small and mighty.
Yeah.
And but I'm also at that point where, you know, I like what he says about like, and you've said this too, that you don't have to have
Yeah.
hundreds of units or homes or it's like that might give certain bragging rights, but ultimately that doesn't pay the bills at the end of the day or give, you know,
Mhm.
you can get freedom without that.
Mhm.
So so his speech also about the different phases too, and then when there comes a time when you have the whole concept of enough,
Mhm.
that's hard for me when somebody's really a go-getter and more, that's a new concept for me to try that on. Just like, you know, maybe I don't need to keep growing. For me, it's kind of hard because I'll see a great deal and I'm like, oh, that's a great deal. I've said it before. People make fun of me if I say I'm going to slow down or stop because it's like, Beth, you've said that before. And then you kept
It's
buying.
like, Chicken Little over there.
I know. It's like, tell me after you know, check
Yeah.
back with us later, you know, but I am starting to feel like, you know, I think we do have a good amount of
Yeah.
properties in the portfolio is where I
That
want it to
enough
be.
concept it's funny you caught that. That was mine as well.
Oh,
But
really? Okay.
it was
Yeah.
that, and
Lumberjack
again,
was really indicating it too. Yeah.
I remember the slide. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
picture, and I remember the green asterisk with the word enough next to it. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
I felt that one.
I know. And I'm getting to an age where it's like I'm not looking to retire anytime soon, but
Oh,
it's there on the horizon. And I want to start making steps toward that
mhm,
more than I already have, is beyond just accumulating.
yeah,
Um, and I'm still debating about how I'm going to do, you know, he's saying like the paying off and stuff. And I'm kind of, that's a tough one for me. But then
yeah.
what
If
he
you
was
got
saying,
mortgage rates sub 4%, maybe you don't.
I know, maybe, I don't know, but there's ways you can kind of ease out
Yeah,
of it as time goes on. Like, and there's things in my market that is more appreciation than cash flow heavy.
sure.
At some point, I'm going to have to adjust the dials a bit to get more cash flow and maybe
Mhm.
let go of some of that equity, convert some of that equity
Yeah,
into cash flow.
convert it.
I'll have
Yeah.
to figure out how I'm going to do that. I'm still thinking about that. But one of the concepts that he talked about was basically like overbuying, and then a few of those properties you wait for
Yeah.
them to appreciate. And in my area where prices tend to double every 7 to 10 years, even during the worst 10-year period,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
2008 to 2018, it did that. And so thinking, okay, if I'm looking at a 10-year time horizon or so, then
Yeah.
what I have now will likely double. Maybe it doesn't 100% double if we have a really rough whatever, it's going to be
Yeah.
higher. And maybe I can selectively pick a couple to sell and pay the tax, and either maybe
Yeah.
sit on that cash and put it in something else, maybe pay some
Yeah.
properties off, maybe not.
I think I do love that idea, right? That kind of
Mhm.
buy ahead
Yeah.
so that when you get to the end, and actually it's funny, Olivia and I did something similar, right? We got to the end, we listed a couple of apartment buildings, um, and we paid some of the tax, we 1031 into a house, a portfolio of houses. But yeah, we were right sizing at the end, and
Yeah.
we didn't know we were doing that. But when we got to the
Yeah.
end, we're like, hey, you know what? This doesn't feel like the right mix. Let's tweak it. Let's
Hmm.
reposition some equity. So I think it's
Yeah.
a genius idea.
Yeah. So that just felt really right to me. I've been kind of toying with all these different, because there's no one way to do this. And
No,
so
yeah,
some people might, I've looked into out of state or other things, and then I realized, well, I think I can work with what I've got to make this achieve whatever
mhm.
goal I have as far as cash flow, income, reserves, whatever I need to sail off into the sunset. I
I
think I
like
can
it.
do that. So I
I
like
like it.
that concept from Coach Carson. It's things I've heard. I've read his book and other things, so I'm familiar with it, but it was just he said a few things in a few different ways. I'm like, okay, that really clicks for me for where I am right now.
Yeah, I like that. And then we had Sean Cannell, of course, come in from Think Media, kind of session right before lunch on the first
Mm-hmm.
day, and he is he just presents. It's
Yeah.
like, and he did have slides, but it was all a couple of notes or an outline, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I loved how he kind of shared with the audience.
He did an amazing job, and I was encouraged by what he was saying about, oh, you remember the stat, but basically the amount of, what was it? What was the measuring point? But it's going to double in the next
Yeah,
few years. What was
yeah.
it?
No,
It's going to double.
he was talking about the creator economy. Goldman
Yeah.
Sachs report talking about the
Hmm.
creator economy
Yeah.
doubling in the next three
Yeah.
years. A
So
lot of
that
people
made me
think it's
feel,
yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah.
Because I'm just dipping my toe into that. So, but it made me think, and I don't know that I'm going to make that. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I'm just starting to get going on it
There's
more.
something. There's
Yeah, there's
something there.
something I'm doing there with it. This is part of it, but just growing on other things. And so, and that is one of my goals this year, is to really start doing that. But I remember, if you were to rewind maybe 5 years ago or so, like, some of the real estate conference I was going to at that time for real estate agents, it was basically like, if you're not already heavy into video and doing this stuff, like, you're gonna lose and you're gonna be out,
Mm,
So it's just
mm.
kind of, and now it feels like there's so many YouTube channels and so much social media out there. What could there possibly be more than what there is?
Yeah.
So it
Well,
was
let's
interesting to
also give
hear
our
that.
boy Millennial Mike a shout out, kind of tying together
Yeah.
Sean and Mike's point. Millennial Mike's point is you don't got to be Graham Stephan at 4.2 million subs. You just need
No.
to be the king of Gary, Indiana, which is his
Yeah.
his buy box. And
Future
it's a
me.
lot easier to be the king of
Hmm.
your niche than,
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
repeat what, Graham did.
Exactly. And I'm not looking to be a Graham Stephan, obviously. So
Neither am I. That's big.
yeah.
That's
Yeah. I
massive.
mean,
Yeah.
hats off to him. He built something amazing. But
Hmm.
yeah, so you don't have to be. And the other thing too is, like, sometimes a smaller audience can be better if it's a stickier audience that's
Yes.
specific to your goals.
Hmm.
That's, it can be a better
Yeah.
way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Sean. Sean's just a good human being. Lucky enough to spend some time with him. I'm so appreciative to Sean. I mean, I don't even know if you know this. Obviously, Sean came in and spoke for an hour. You may not be aware of this, but he was in the podcast room for the hour before that.
Oh no, I
And
wasn't aware.
then we interviewed five of the different millionaires. I think it was for a half hour each. So he was at the event talking for 5.5 hours straight. This guy
I saw
doesn't
him
have to
mingling
do
out there
that.
talking to other people. When he came out of that booth, I saw him
Yeah.
talking to other people.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
I knew he was a great dude before, but he's top notch now.
Yeah, what a powerhouse and what a giver. That was really, really cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. Coach Carson, again, everybody there. One of the things that I was, one of my secrets, right, as the host, one of the things that I have to do is try to find ways to surprise people. And one of the things that I had to do was surprise the speakers with something. Because again, I didn't pay any of you to come out, right?
No.
Your dime, you said yes, you paid for your hotels, you paid for your flights, food. I didn't, none of that, right? So I tried to find a way to give back in a surprising way, memorable way, and most importantly, which actually was the hardest, in a way that you would have never gotten before.
Right.
You've been to events, you have won awards. I've seen them on your shelf, right? The
Yeah.
trophies, they're all the
Yeah.
same. So I knew the guys would like it, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about the ladies. So behind you over your left shoulder is a championship belt with your name, picture, and a couple of nice words. What do
Isn't
you
that cool?
think?
I love it. It's my favorite. It's the favorite gift / award I've received at any event. And it definitely stands out and is very special and so personal too, and memorable forever. So I gave it a place of honor right there on the shelf. So I'm sure there'll be a nice conversation piece and people coming into my office too,
Yeah.
which I'll be happy to tell them about how that came to be in one rental at a time. So, and my son loved it too. As soon as I got home, he was like draping it over
I
his
saw that
shoulder.
picture. Yeah.
Picture. So, and I saw so many pictures of people with their belts. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. That was, so
Nice
that,
surprise.
yeah, you just, when you do that, you try to do something off, you just don't know. Like one of the events I was at, they gave everybody surfboards. And it
Oh,
was in
wow.
Vegas of all places. And you know the problem with the surfboard
How do you get it home?
is how do you get it home?
Yeah.
Seriously, more than half
Can't
the
fit it
people
in the
that won
bag.
them, no, it doesn't fit in the
Yeah.
bag. They left them in the room. They never even
Oh
taken it.
no.
Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, I had to push that into my suitcase. It's big and heavy. It's
It is
leather,
heavy.
thick, it's metal,
Yep.
Oh, and the TSA like it went through my bag. They probably like ran that through the X-ray. They're like, "What is this thing?" They put some little note in there, like, "We went through your bag." But
It's funny. Coach Carson didn't check his bag, which just sounds like you checked your bag.
yeah,
He pulled out and TSA went through his bag. So because of that,
it looks a little unusual. Like it stands out. What is this thing? Yeah.
you mean not everybody has a championship
I
belt
know.
through
I'm sure they
security?
see everything come through there, so they probably didn't bat an eye. But yeah, it's just something
Oh,
one of those
that's hilarious.
it's memorable in a lot of ways. So, but I was able to shoehorn it in there and get it home and on the shelf where it belongs.
Yeah, yeah.
Yay.
So again, I ordered a test run for myself, and did like that it came in a nice box, which again you didn't have to keep, and it folds pretty narrow, right? Use the
Yeah.
left and right. So I was like, I think people will like them, and I think they'll get them home. Because the worst thing would be if people left them in the hotel,
No,
which I
I'm
don't think
sure
anybody did.
nobody would have done that. They would find. I mean, if I had to ship it home, I would have shipped it home. So
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I didn't have to. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we're gonna do this again next year. So
Oh,
yeehaw.
happy to hear that. Yeah.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure going into the day if we do it again. But it was pretty apparent after day one that it just had to happen. You know what? Let's switch
Everybody's
gears.
so
Go ahead.
engaged and just there's almost like this high vibration of energy in the room that I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of the people that came going in next year.
Yeah, that would be
and
pretty
new
cool.
folks come in too. So
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. So let's go back to your story. Thursday, or actually you listed Wednesday. You come out to Vegas Thursday. You're with us through the end of the day Sunday. You leave early Monday morning. You get back 1.2 million or 1.195 list price. Nothing happened, I'm sure, right? Nothing happened. It's just stacking up inventory.
Just sitting there, right? No, we got 15 offers, I think. I mean, since I got on this call here, something more could have happened. They're all coming in this morning. So
you had 15 offers.
15 offers, yep. And it's going to escalate quite a bit over list price. I can't, of course, say anything yet, but it's
well. Can I ask you this?
It's going to be far over list.
Can I ask this? And you don't have to answer it if you can't. What % of the 15 are at or over list price?
All of them. No, I think there might be one that's under, but
okay.
Yeah.
So 14 out of 15 over.
Yeah.
Were any of them cash?
2 are cash. So not a lot, percentage wise.
Yeah. Well, how many of them do you have to have in order to get a deal done? You only got one
I
house to
know.
sell, right?
You only need one. But
You only need one.
sometimes I know, right? How many cash offers do we need? But sometimes the cash is, if it's quite a
Yeah,
bit lower in price and the other one
sure.
has all contingencies waived and a large earnest money, especially if they release that earnest money as a non-refundable
Oh, I'm
deposit.
gonna ask. I'm gonna ask. You don't have to answer. Did any of the 15 offer to release the EMD? You
Yes.
can't.
And some of them I haven't even had a chance to really look at yet, but yes, that is part of the mix. And so back in the frothiest of frothy days, I remember when I was working with buyers that we would say we were going into a situation like this, we had the rhythm down. It's like, okay, the winning offer is typically going to be all contingencies waived, financing waived, inspection waived, literally every little loophole removed.
Mhm.
Large earnest money released as non-refundable. And in our market, escalations are really common. So we'll say like we'll beat the
Yeah.
other offer by X amount, and an escalation up to about 20% over list price with a good
So
margin. You have to have a good margin over the highest offer. I'd say at least $12,000 over highest offer. So not just like 2,000 over. You have to go
yeah,
more to
yeah.
make it compelling. And I don't know if that's exactly how it's all shaping up right now because it's literally taking shape as we
Right
speak.
now, yeah. Yeah.
But I'm hearing stories of in some of the more core areas like Bellevue and certain parts of Seattle, I'm hearing it even going 20, 30 offers. So because I'm a
That's
little more on the
what
fringes, it's only
rates are up, Beth.
15.
This can't be
I
happening.
know.
Be happening. Just stop it.
Yeah.
Not good.
Buyers, like I said, buyers they don't want to wait anymore. And even if it's gone up a little bit, they're not waiting. And um their stock portfolios are doing really well too. So I think
Yeah,
they're
that's one of
feeling
the
flush
that
with cash. They don't feel like
Bay
they're
Area
waiting.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard much about layoffs in a while. I mean, I'm sure maybe some might be happening somewhere, but it's not the big news like it was a little while ago. So maybe people are feeling more
Mhm.
secure. And I also think people have come to the conclusion that it's not going to be changing anytime soon. This scenario that we find ourselves in with the low inventory
Mhm.
and buyers that want to buy are doing what they got to do, especially now. It's very, very quick how the psychology turns on a dime. The
Mhm.
minute people start losing in multiple offers, they're for the agents and the buyers, they just shift
Yeah.
like a 180 quickly from we're asking for everything we can, concessions, lower price, better
Mhm.
terms, rate buy downs and all that to boom, we're it's game on. And then it
Yeah.
becomes negotiating just about getting your offer accepted rather than trying to get better terms for you as the buyer. So, and again, I always have to say, I don't want to be a downer for everybody. So I will say that there are still opportunities out there for the people that the houses that were not well prepared. Maybe
Mhm.
they're priced a little bit high. Maybe they're stale and easy to overlook. Maybe they have bad photos. They're not staged. Those are where the opportunity lies. So look for those gems. Or if you see something happen to go past the offer review date, if you see that, like say they had an offer review date of Monday and then here it is Wednesday and it's still on the market, that's a
Mhm.
different story. The minute you go past that review date and don't go under contract,
Yeah.
the dynamic changes.
Well,
So,
I think a lot of people, may have assumed, 1.2, which is about 20% above the median for your buy box or your area, roughly. Um, Rates have gone up here in the last couple of weeks. I think a lot of people would have naturally thought that pulled buyers back, but what I hear you saying is it actually pushed them forward because they're just done with this craziness,
yeah,
right? They want to get in because consumers are so easy to predict.
yeah,
When does 7% feel good? When they're used to 8.
yeah. If this was the
When do you
first time we ever hit 7, people would be reacting differently.
exactly? And they did. We saw that last year.
We saw it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now the buyers that are in the market and have missed are trying again. And what they're deciding to do is apparently go nuts again, right? Escalation clauses, waiving conditions, releasing EMDs. You know how crazy I think that is? It's
Yeah,
obviously great if you're a seller, don't get me wrong, which in this case, you're
I know.
representing the seller. It's not something I would ever do. But
No.
sometimes I guess it's what you have to do.
And the lawyers hate it. And
I bet they
part for good
do.
reasons, but
Thank
And
you.
I'm talking about, I want to make sure people understand when I'm talking about releasing earnest monies and non-refundable, it's not after certain contingencies are satisfied. It's immediately right now.
Yeah.
So
So just for grins, let's say you pick one that has that. I'm not saying you will because you may not, but let's just say that's a six figure 100K EMD released. What will happen is um the seller will sign the contract. You will then go open escrow, and at that point, escrow will ask for the 100K.
yeah,
That 100K will be wired to escrow. At that point, escrow will wire it to the seller. So it'll be
correct.
within 48 hours.
Yep. Immediately. As soon as it hits the bank with the title and escrow company, then they
Ship it
release it
off.
to the seller. And it's, we do have verbiage written about it that basically states that it's a non-refundable deposit and it's not to be returned to the buyer. It's going to be credited toward their down payment or
Blah, blah,
purchase,
blah. Yep.
but it's not refundable.
Yeah.
And unless for some reason, we often have it written there, for some reason, the seller can't close and the buyer gets it back, which
Yeah.
is
That
a
the
good point
seller.
to make, Yeah.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
can't close for some reason or
Yeah. If
title's
the
not
seller
clear,
can't perform or something. Yeah.
yeah, then that's only fair. So, but yeah, it makes it very, it's compelling to the seller because they say, well, what if the appraisal comes in low? Like, well, that's for the buyer to figure out.
Yep.
We're making sure that what if XYZ happens? Like, well, if anything happens and they don't close, worst case scenario, you have that earnest money
You got the
and
EMD and go list it again.
we go call one of these other people, we don't
Yeah.
even go back on the market probably, so,
Wow.
but I haven't had anybody yet walk away from
Yeah.
50,
No, because these are,
100,000.
yeah,
No,
these are significant. It's not like a $1.2 million house and you're giving up $5,000. No,
no,
we're
that's easy
talking.
to walk away from. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for most people, that's like, okay, that sucks, but
If you're
it's
buying
not.
100K, $1 million house, you're not going to
Yeah.
sweat a 5K EMD.
Right. But 100K, I don't know I
I
mean,
couldn't do that.
somebody out there could be like, oh, well, but I don't know those people.
I don't know. I don't know those people either. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it does appear like the housing market, as you called, the spring market would start early. It has. I would almost admit we're getting back to maybe the peak nuttiness, but it's certainly getting uncomfortable as somebody sitting on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So it'd be fun to keep up each and every week with us. I want to thank you personally for coming out. I want to thank you for getting on stage. I want to thank
Thank
you
you so
for
much.
interacting with the
Yeah.
audience. You're just a wonderful human being that just gives, gives, gives.
Oh,
So thank you, thank you,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. So cool for me. Definitely a highlight for me and something I'll always remember. And such a great experience. And we've met face to face before once, but it's nice to see you again. And all the rest
Yeah.
of the gang, my Washington gang, like Dion and Millennial Mike and some others, and then the bigger group too. Some I've never met before in person. So that was just so cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
very cool. Well, we're going to do it again next year.
Yay.
Look forward to it. Thank you,
Yay.
Beth.
Mark my calendar. Thank
There you
you.
go.